All right. Good morning, everyone. Brad Roltkin here with the Fresno Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency Investors Group. Today we're talking crypto and politics. It seems like at our last uh, at least one or two pizza meetings, that's kind of what the discussion has been. So I thought we'd kind of take it here and see where it's gone lately. This has been a crazy political season. We're going to try to stay away from the political part of it, but how you know, presidents, potential presidents, senators, congressmen, whatever, are affecting crypto or potentially affecting crypto in good or bad ways, CBDCs and all that good stuff. So I'll start with this article I ran across. Hopefully you guys can see that on the screen okay. This was from just, I think I was on Thursday. It says a dozen crypto executives did a video call with White House officials to bring up their um, issues with how they're getting treated by the administration. Um, and it looks like they were trying to kind of restart relations with the Democrat side of things, where Trump and Kennedy obviously have been pushing crypto, and the other side hasn't really said too much. But at least I give them credit for trying to get in there and have a discussion and maybe do a little education. I know we've talked about it in the past where this couple folks from a political relations company reached out to our group to try to influence and chat with our um, local representative, Jim Costa, in his office and staff that works on crypto. So I've had a few meetings with them, and literally they seem to be receptive to what's going on and what we're sharing with and that kind of thing. So this thing that I saw here, as far as this video call that happened on Thursday, looked to be obviously a bigger and more influential version of what these guys were trying to do at the kind of the local level here. um so it sounds like they did more, the crypto folks did more of the talking and the other folks did more of the listening. um Kamala had a representative there, so that was good to hear. At least somebody showed up. Um, but that was about it. Oh, hey, Michael, welcome. Good to have you
Hello.
on. Did you see this article on this meeting that was going on or hear anything about that just a couple days ago? It was a video call, not really, I guess, a meeting per se, but
I heard about it, but I
okay.
didn't read this article.
Yeah, yeah. So this is kind of the latest that I've seen. What have you guys seen out there?
Brad, would you post the link in the chat?
Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me on that. And just a reminder too, the way Zoom works now, um, these chats are accessible after the call. If you go back into if you have Zoom and you've joined through Zoom through the desktop app as opposed to the browser, you can see these chats a week from now, a month from now, that kind of thing. Yeah, I didn't do a Google Doc for this one, but maybe I should do that real quick. But go ahead. Yeah, what did oh, the other part I saw, I felt like I got a kick out of this newly formed group called Crypto for Harris. Um, so I don't know how that much of an effect that will have, but I got a kick out of it. At least they're trying. So yeah, did you guys run across any other articles or see anything else interesting?
Well, what I know about this basically is that Trump was there and actually spoke at the event. I think we talked about that the last time.
Oh, yeah, what do they call it? Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville.
Nashville. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
So he
this
was
was
there.
just a video call between these folks, and it wasn't even a physical meeting, but
Oh, okay.
yeah. And then didn't wasn't Kennedy there like the next day?
He might have been, but I know that Trump has completely changed his view on Bitcoin, which is good. And I
Mm-hmm.
heard the other day that Gensler, that if he becomes president, Gensler will be gone, who
Yeah,
is really a thorn in the side of Bitcoiners and crypto in general.
for sure, for sure. And that was one of the things that in this meeting here, it was like they said, hey, if you guys would just, yeah, the crypto world wants the SEC and its chairman Gensler to curtail an aggressive crackdown on the industry via enforcement actions and lawsuits. It's kind of like, leave us alone, let's talk, kind of thing. So we'll see if that works, but I mean, that seems like a better approach as opposed to spending all this time in court or responding to lawsuits and that kind of thing. It's not like these crypto places are going anywhere. Like they got to get them now before they rent or take off out of town or that kind of thing. So that was definitely one of the things.
I don't know if this is off
Yeah.
topic here, Brad, but yesterday I was hearing there was something that happened with Doge and the government, that they won some sort of suit. Do you know anything about that?
Hadn't heard that. No.
Something about just about some sort of suit that the US government had won against Doge. So I didn't know much more about it than that. Thought maybe you might have heard.
No, and I don't think I've heard anything as far as legal or enforcement or crackdowns with Doge. Yeah, they settled the thing with Ripple down here, and then Ripple had a nice little pop earlier in the week type of thing. So that was good. But yeah, Doge, I don't think it's almost like, who is Doge anyway? Just besides the one guy that started it, I've never heard they've had anything more than a development team. So, when you go to sue them or whatever, find them, who do you go after, if they don't have an office type of thing?
Yeah, I can't find any news on it, but I know I saw something, I think it was on CNBC or something yesterday.
Hmm.
But anyhow, I don't know
Okay. Okay.
if it wasn't anything, because I don't see anything.
Yeah. Here is that Google Doc. And for Alan and Lorenzo, what I try to do with each meeting is have this Google Doc where we can paste in all of these links, and then obviously you can go back anytime and view those. And let me share the link to the Google Doc, and I'll put that in the chat that you can open up there. And if you click on I think it says like request edit access or something like that in the upper right corner, then I'll give you permission to to add and edit this document as well. That's always helpful, so I don't have to do it all. And sometimes people are get way ahead, and then we can talk about them in 5 or 10 minutes kind of thing. So that's good. Susan, I know you look at it more from the general investment standpoint. Have you seen much lately regarding crypto that has turned you on or off, or that kind of thing, with one side or the other from the political standpoint?
No, not all. I pretty much watch is CNBC, so I'm not exposed to like what the media is saying.
Okay. I'm sure you see a little bit of coverage on crypto from them. What's been their take
Yeah,
lately?
they mostly are talking about they're not getting into the nitty gritty. It's interesting because sometimes they are, like when the ETF was
Yeah.
happening, it was a big topic, but they cycle through different news like hypes,
Hmm.
and it's quiet now. They're doing more on the percentages, who's supporting who I don't who the percentages, and how Trump versus Biden versus Kamala. They're just focusing on that, so it's very surface and boring.
Yeah. Are they from a crypto standpoint, or just
No,
just in
no,
general?
just in general.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, when they're focusing on something like that, their crypto's in the background.
Yeah. I've been at least encouraged that we've heard more about crypto in some of these discussions and coverages of the current presidential campaign.
Someone on there recently said Was negative towards Solano. But I don't remember why because I can only absorb. Like I'm focusing on Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's interesting these ETFs, which obviously they would be, interested in quite a bit. So we had the Bitcoin one come out in January, and then it was like, oh, then are we gonna have an Ethereum ETF?
Yeah.
And then that got, to me, it seemed like that got approved, okay, pretty quick, and that launched, I don't know, 3 weeks or a month ago or something like that. And then all of a sudden it was like Solano is going to be the next one, to do an ETF. And I'm like, wow, they're kind of coming fast and furious, but I'm, I'm interested to know why they didn't like Solano or whatever. And, kind of all those chains that are just behind Ethereum are kind of battling it out. And I mean, there's room for, 5 or 10 of these chains. Yeah, maybe 5, 4 or 5.
Uh-huh.
But it's, I definitely don't want to have just Ethereum. That's just like, having Coke. And I'm like, I want my Pepsi, I want my other
Yeah.
choices too, kind of
Uh-huh.
thing. Or, only having Ford vehicles out there. It's okay to have, a couple different ones. And then they'll compete back and forth. Because if there wasn't any competition, they wouldn't need to compete. It's like, hey, come here and use our chain and we'll charge you fees.
Yes.
So that's
So
what it
one
was.
thing when politicians talk about cryptocurrency, in my mind, they're only talking about Bitcoin. That they don't really recognize and understand the complexity of it all.
Uh,
But I don't know, I could be completely off base with that.
no, I think you're right. And if they only look at it from an asset class, okay, we've got gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Well,
Right,
no,
I
we've
think
got
that's
other things as well, and if, once we get to Ethereum, then we're talking about a use case for everything you can do on that chain, all the smart
yes,
contracts. And so it's not just, an ounce of silver, an ounce of gold. It's like, no, this
right.
is like a railroad. And what can we do with the
Cryptocurrency
railroad?
yes, cryptocurrency is like precious metals, and then there's gold, silver, platinum, all the metals underneath.
Yeah. But if they're not discussing the use case for the
Right,
networks,
no,
then
I
I
don't
mean,
hear
they're
that.
missing 90% of, what's there. But you're right. They just don't know enough. And
Right,
that's why it's good to see these guys having these meetings and hopefully educating them a little bit.
yes,
And if they start hearing things like, oh, it's not all about the price or how I buy it or how I sell it, but there's, that use case.
yes. So that's where CNBC is more, the loss and gain. In a day it lost this much percent. In a day
Yeah,
it gained this, like really focusing, not really even understanding there either what that it's volatile. Who cares?
right. And that's just, it's such a young asset
Yes.
class, so to speak, that it is going to be volatile, and it's
Yes.
such a small, that would be an interesting thing if they would show the market cap relative to gold, silver, because I keep hearing, Bitcoin's going to overtake the market cap of gold. Okay, well, maybe it will, maybe it won't.
And
But
they
if
have talked about, you said to me once about how the ETF was, the participation rate was so much more than the GLD, so much faster. And they have talked about that.
Oh, good, good.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think
But
where I
you
was,
you talked about it first.
well, yeah, that's what caught me, and that was like 6 weeks after it launched, I think, when that number
Uh-huh.
started going up. But it would be interesting to see them talk about the market cap of the whole crypto space. We're bouncing around 2 trillion at this point, versus the market cap for, Amazon, Facebook, Apple,
Yes, yes,
Microsoft, whatever. And it's like, hey, this is the whole space is just, as big as Apple or, whatever. They're in that ballpark. And then you've got all the other, um, stocks. So it's still real small, but obviously it's getting a lot of attention, which is
yes,
good. So
yes.
cool. Okay. Let's see. I'm not seeing anybody else posting and chatting with any other links. Let's check in with Anthony. Anthony, how are you doing? So you jumped in there a few minutes ago.
Not too bad over here. Sorry, I've been MIA a lot of the meetings. I've been trying to get my business up and running, so I've been a little offsided by that. But as far as the whole crypto and politics thing goes, honestly, I think it doesn't really matter which direction you look. Both sides, when you look at politics in general, they don't really care about crypto that much, but they really care about voters. And at this point, anytime you hear any political side talking about crypto, it's only insofar as they can get votes. It's not about them actually caring about what crypto does or doesn't do. And honestly, I'd say 90% of the time they just look at it as something that is an opposition to the U.S. dollar, and so they should avoid it.
Wait, say that part again about the dollar.
Basically, that the politicians in general should look at crypto as a general rule as an opposition to the U.S. dollar, and so something they need to, as they would put it politically, keep a close eye on.
Okay, right. And I think you're right from a standpoint of they're looking at crypto as a base of users that they want to try to win type of thing. And so far it's been skewed one way, other than, Kennedy, which, is kind of just on the side there, but at least he's getting some of his talking points in, which is good. Yeah, and like Susan was saying, this is so complicated that to go beyond just being pro Bitcoin or not is probably going to lose. Well, I mean, not probably, would lose 99.8% of the population when or if any of the candidates spoke about using smart contracts or not smart contracts. So we're still a little bit early in that game. But could you imagine here in 4 or 12 years if you have one side of the aisle talking about one chain and one side of the aisle saying, no, this other chain is better? And wow, I don't, I mean, just like they take sides, this one side is pro-union, one side is anti-union, or those kinds of things. If we started getting into, more specific. So who knows where we go from here? We're still early in the game. All right, Michael, have you run across any other articles? I know you're always working at the computer there.
Yeah, the only thing that that I can add is talking about the Bitcoin ETFs. I was looking at the inflows, outflows, and while there was a net outflow of 85 million out of Bitcoin, I think this last week, IBIT, which is the BlackRock Bitcoin, which is the largest ETF, was still having hundreds of millions of dollars in inflows. So that's all I really have to add to that. I mean, there's still people piling into it and creating or building positions. And the other thing that I heard was that I believe now that all the money, not just the money managers, but the wealth money managers, the people who manage really large sums of money, hundreds of millions or billions of dollars for individual clients, are now, I think it was Morgan Stanley has 15,000 registered agents, and now they have they're free to push the Bitcoin ETFs, primarily the IBIT and the Fidelity, those two in particular.
Right.
Yeah,
I did see that as well, and like IBIT and probably the other one had set up the other wealth management companies as, what do they call them, active participants or whatever, so they could basically sell their ETFs, and then Morgan Stanley didn't have to launch their own. They could just sell BlackRock's and still get a cut of the commissions or whatever.
Absolutely. And really, BlackRock is, I mean, that's the one that I own. And when people talk to me about it, that's the one I usually recommend that they look at. BlackRock is really like the largest money manager on the, or assets under management, something like, I don't know, $15 trillion or something. And it's the only one that's week to week that I've noticed that really hasn't had any outflows and has had continuous inflows in. GBTC has been having lots and lots of outflows since January. And so is the one with Kathy Wells, or what's her name?
Wood,
Kathy Wood. Yeah,
Woods, yeah.
Kathy Woods. So anyhow, that's just my nickel's worth. That's what I've been seeing. I've been busy with a lot of other things. I haven't had as much time to look and research as I usually do.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the calendar and it's like, we're at the, almost middle of August, and it seems like I have more time to get things done. It's like, where does time go? But that's a whole nother issue. Let's see, Alan, we had a good little discussion before the meeting started. What's your take on some of these political positions?
Yeah, I stepped away a moment to get a coffee. And so he came back. I tried looking up for that crypto for Harris, and I couldn't find it like as a website.
Oh
And
yeah, let me look at the link on it's in here and see if I can find anything. Maybe it was just a link.
oh,
to
it's
an
it was a
article.
little bit higher.
There it is. Let's see if. Oh, it looks like it's a Twitter account, or X, excuse me. Gonna be
Yeah.
up to speed here. Oh, is it wanting me to log in or some crap? No, there we go. Come on. No, I don't want to log. Yeah, it's wanting me to log in. Like,
You should be able to come as a guest.
create an account. Yeah, I don't even remember. Let me see if I can log in separate, and I'll get back in there to it. Go ahead and yeah. What was your? Oh, no, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I was curious to see what kind of effort is going on there, because like you said earlier about not wanting to have on some kind of partisan thing, like this blockchain is for one party, and this other blockchain technology like proof of stake as compared to proof of work is for a different partisan purpose.
Group, yeah.
Yeah. I think that gets back to the earlier question or earlier points like Susan was making, that it's just they just don't know enough about it. And I've heard like when I looked at it early on, people were saying, about this blockchain and Bitcoin or Ethereum, don't make a decision about it until you put at least 100 hours into investigating both of them, or all of it all together. It takes at least 100 hours to try to get a foundation. And I think a big part of that is like the YouTube University. And one person that I like to follow her name is Crypto Casey.
Oh yeah, she's definitely good and easy to understand. Yeah, and 100 hours, that seems like a really, really far off goal for most. I mean, we're used to, we're wanting 15-second or 8-second sound bites.
Yes.
100 hours seems crazy.
But blockchain, and then we talked earlier about the utility that's going, and so that's the utility, the business case of blockchain hasn't even been talked about in the broader public about the ability to have unique identifiers that could help make like the healthcare industry more efficient and more knowledgeable, like if there's a trusted place where your medications can go, so that if you happen to be in the emergency room, then the doctors know exactly where to look to see that what type of medications and what's your medical history, and you know that we have this HIPAA standard, but that kind of stuff can get breached. So I think we haven't looked at the utility case of what blockchain technology can provide.
That's I'm going to chalk that up to the understatement of the day so far, and especially from the political standpoint, that's that's not something they're even into. Like Anthony
Right.
said, they're just looking for voters at this point. Um, but like I said, hopefully in the future we can, actually have a discussion where one chain may be better and versus another, that kind of thing. But that's going to take years as far as that goes. Yeah, we were talking about the energy standpoint that you had a background in. Have you seen much, use case of crypto there, from the consumer side, as opposed to just back end processing or that kind of thing? Anything that we might have seen or missed?
Yeah, yeah, I can speak to that. Yeah, well, there's a company called Crusoe Cloud, and they're one of the ones that are using the flare gas from the fossil fuel companies to capture the methane and clean it up, and then run it into electric generators. So they're consuming about 90 to 95% of the methane that would otherwise go into the air, and then generating electricity. And they've got banks of GPUs and CPUs set up to do the calculations. The GPUs are the calculations for Bitcoin, and then the CPUs are processing and then data storage. And so they're able to provide kind of bottom line business likes that their services are much cheaper than Amazon or Google Web Services, and so that's a good benefit. And there's another case is forget the name of the company, but they were looking at all over the United States. There's these uncapped wells that were former producing oil wells, and now they don't produce enough oil. So they've left them uncapped, the oil industry, and it's a big crime. And so the methane is exhausting out of those every single day. And there's a blockchain technology company that figured out a way to come in and put a cap on it. And then they calculate the savings of the avoided methane in the air and the carbon, and then they can get a carbon credit equivalent and sell that as an asset. And you asked about the retail side for consumers, that you can actually go to their website and buy your carbon footprint equivalent offset for the year. And I think it was running at about $30 per ton. So that's like let's see, I took a United flight from San Francisco, California to Oakland, to Denver and back, and the carbon offset for that was $7. So there are some interesting use cases coming out from the energy side.
Okay, and is one side of the political aisle for or against, or is that kind of just a neutral? I mean, it sounds like a good overall thing, so I don't know.
I think, I mean, in the political side of thing, I don't think it's even on the radar yet.
Hmm.
I mean, maybe more at like the state level. Cited in that article was Ro Khanna, and I think he's doing some really good work about pulling together some kind of lunch and learns with other politicians to get them better up to speed about what is blockchain and why they should pay attention to it.
Okay, so yeah, so like that's probably a bigger issue for Texas than, overall federal, like you mentioned. And
Well,
maybe a few other states, Oklahoma, something like that.
you mean the whales?
Right, right.
Well, California has a lot of whales, oil, current production and former production. In California, it's Bakersfield area has a lot.
Mhm.
Southern California has a lot. There's open tar sands. I mean, that's a natural source of off-gassing that is in Brea, California, that that's just part of nature. And then there's the wells that have been drilled, and they're out there. They're in our communities, and there's legislation that's going in, like you force the company that's abandoned the well, if it's within a certain distance from elementary schools or other locations like hospitals or something, then they have to come back and cap it off. But then these are companies that like declared bankruptcy, so they can walk away from their obligations.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, it's complicated. So yeah, it sounds like you've got a good handle on that. What's going on there?
Thank you.
Um,
Here, I had a
yeah,
question, Brad.
sure.
I sent in the request to get access to the Google Doc.
Oh, yeah, that's the other problem, is I have to pay attention enough to see that that's going on. So let me clear you real quick here.
Okay.
Yeah. And while I'm doing that, let's check in with Lorenzo and see what thoughts he might have on what's going on here. We spoke a little bit at the beginning. Yeah, and I'm going to click you here in just a second. You should be good to go.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, go ahead, Lorenzo. Yeah, you're unmuted now. You should be good. Yeah, go ahead. You're unmuted. And who's going back and forth? Oh, now you're muted. And Alan, you should be good. Yeah, feel free to add any other links. Oh. Yeah, Lorenzo, if that's not working, maybe just type something into chat if there's something you had or wanted to add. Yeah, it looks like issues on the mic. No worries. Any thoughts you had on the topic or articles you'd seen recently? Okay. Let's go. Let's see, Anthony. Yeah, I know you said you've been busy a while. Had you any other thoughts on that group that you had going there on Facebook? We can help with, or ideas to get out there.
Honestly, I've been thinking about trying to jump back into working on that, but it's been a little bit difficult trying to figure out which direction everyone wants to take it. Like if there's a specific crypto we want to start by looking at and breaking down, or if there's a certain class of cryptos, like if you want to look at like depends versus like top three, or if we want to look at ones that actually have use case versus like meme coins. I mean, is there anything in particular anyone has been interested in specifically looking at?
Not that I've seen outside of those meetings we had a couple months ago. So I would just maybe throw up one and see if people jump in, and if that there's doesn't seem to be interest, maybe
I'm
jump over.
interested. I'm interested in the meme coins. I don't quite understand i- 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 what's the specific or not specific use of the meme coin.
And typically for meme coins, there's no real use case. There's occasions where, you know, a meme coin may build a small or large ecosystem within the original meme coin that can have use case, but the meme coin itself typically has no use case. It's just I don't know how to phrase it without being rude to meme coins, but it's basically just a money pit that you hope you get on while the kind of striking while the iron's hot. Um, and typically you just want to look at things that may have some relevance to something going on currently. You know, like Dog with Hat kind of, you know, came up with kind of a resurgence in like Elon Musk topics on Google and Twitter or X. Um, or if you think of like Pepe when that came out, those only skyrocketed because there were memes associated with them that were gaining traction, and then someone built a meme coin around it. And so, really, what you want to look for on those is where you can get them before they've launched on a like a centralized platform. So there's not any metrics really to look at for those aside from like user content, um, the number of people looking at them, looking at those memes specifically on Google, things like that.
I see. So kind of find out about them before they're listed on an exchange and pick one that I want to ride with or so, and then hope it gets listed. Is that kind of an approach?
Yeah, that's the main approach for that. You want to just kind of see if there's user traction within their like community forums, because usually, you know, with a meme coin, there'll still be kind of like maybe a Twitter channel, X channel, or there'll be Reddit or what's the really popular one? Can't remember it right now, but there's one other that people tend to use a lot. And oh, go ahead.
I was thinking the name too. It's probably listed in my tray here. The uh,
What is it? But if we can't think of that one, you can always also look at the traction on like Masari or CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, and see what the kind of the average use of uh, that coin, but like the volume trading for it has been. If it's very low volume trading, you don't want to bother. Um, you don't want to worry too much about it because low volume trading means that there aren't that many people backing it at the moment. But if you see a potential for it to rise based on the meme associated with it, then you could always hop in.
I see. All right. Thanks for explaining that, Anthony.
Of course.
And yeah, I'm trying to share my browser with with the Facebook group in it, but I'm not having any luck yet. Lino's been he's for years have been following me kind of the new well, I don't say up and coming, but new coins. And he's posted a fair amount in the Facebook group. So Anthony, you might want to maybe check with him and kind of piggyback on what he's doing for the group. Because he seems to be the most active as far as that, at least posting in Facebook. There might be 6 other people that are, you know, going gangbusters, but they're not posting, so we don't know about it, type of thing. Let's see. It is not letting me share my window. This is. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It looks like, yeah, Zoom did do some updates. I'm seeing different screens that I haven't seen before. Yeah. Okay. Michael, can you try to just share anything? And if it comes up, it's not, it, it's just like gone away.
I'll see what I can figure out here.
Yeah, I launched this new in Chrome. Those other windows were in um,
Can you see that?
looks like you're starting to share screen sharing. Yeah, double click to enter full screen mode.
I mean, do you see
That's
a
on
white
mine.
screen with text mostly on the left?
No.
That's what I see. Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. Well, that's what I see.
Okay. Does anybody else see Michael's screen?
It's black. It's solid black.
Yeah,
That's what
I
I
can
see,
see it.
solid black.
Sorry, I've never shared anything before, but I followed the directions, and so
Yeah, it looks like maybe something just went wacky for all of us. Like what?
what, technology made a mistake? Oh my!
Well, and it's like I
This
was.
isn't run by CrowdStrike, is it?
Yeah, there you go. Holy cow! What are we doing here? There. All right. Let me see if I can open it in this other browser. That'll work. With multiple windows, it's just sometimes tricky to keep everything organized here.
Yes.
Let's see. You're gonna let me in here without. Okay, now I have to get notified on some other device that I've logged in to Facebook.
Yes.
It's like it seems like Facebook was so lax for so long on their security. Now they've like overdone it the other way. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let me post a link to the Facebook group. Let's do that. And then you guys can go there yourself and check out let's see. Alan, there's a gentleman in the Facebook group, Lino, Lino, that he's been posting quite a bit of info about the coins that he's following or getting ready to follow.
Yeah.
And so you may, look at some of those or comment on his post. You could private message him too, but it's in general what we set up that group for, or what we're using the group for, is to discuss these new and upcoming coins type of thing. So the more we can keep the conversation there, the easier it is for other people to jump in and, have a one big public conversation for the group, as opposed to all these private messages going back and forth and nobody else seeing them. So I did
Okay.
post that.
I'll put in 2 links. I'll put them in the document, the Word document.
Okay, yeah, and let me see, I can actually share that window now. There we are. This is, can you guys see the Google Doc in the, am I sharing the Google Doc? It's just not acting like it did an hour ago. I don't get it. Oh, here. Okay. All right. Here's the Facebook group. You should be able to see this. So here's a blurb talking about how we start doing the subgroup. Usually post links to the recordings, that kind of thing. And how it works, we've had so many people come in and try to spam into the group that I've had to turn off letting people post, where I have to like view the post and okay it. But once I know, once like Lino posted, I know he's okay. So I cleared him to post in the future. So if any of you would go in there and post or make a comment or whatever, then I can do the same thing with you, and then your post will show up right away. So yeah, here's Lino and his link that he posted. Here's an update that he's doing, that kind of thing. Yeah, David posted. So that's what it looks like. But if you go in there and even just post something that says like, hey, I'm new to the group, just some kind of post, then it'll show up for me to review and authorize, and then you'll be good to go in the future. So check that out when you can. Let me go back to the other link you had there, Alan. Let's see. That one, I'll share that screen. Find it. Go. Okay. Yeah, so what we need to do is get those carbon credit exchanges on the blockchain, because I have a feeling that the way those started, there's a lot of hanky-panky going on with carbon credits. So those might be a good thing to move into the blockchain.
There's some with how they're being credited, but that's kind of a whole industry. There's area called ESG. It's environment, social governance, and so that's like a whole field that is dealing with the metrics of how to clarify this and other governance and environmental social issues. This link I just put in because it's one that I found quickly. The other one also, so there are two examples of the technology behind it. I wasn't yet able to find the link that I was thinking of for the site where you could actually go with a credit card and purchase a offset for yourself,
Got it.
which is based on the blockchain background.
Oh, there's like, so their system is on the blockchain.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. I mean, I just have more faith in anything that's blockchain based, because, somebody that is really looking into it can look into it, as opposed to a private system that obviously you can't unless you go in and hack it or something like that. So that's good to see that they're doing that for sure.
Yes. Yes. Let me think a moment. I just thought of one. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay. And I'll add these to the Google Doc here as long as I'm here while you're thinking there. And Susan, I checked you off. You should be able to post, so I'm looking for something fabulous from you. No pressure. Okay. So those are there. All right. Any other thoughts, ideas on this topic? I think we've melted for now.
My
Um,
only thought
oh,
is
go
that,
ahead.
as somebody had said earlier, you know, politicians care about voters, and they don't really care about this subject unless it one makes them money or gets them votes. It'll take a few years down the road before they really look at it as something that's like the auto industry or technology or the food industry or insurance or something like that. It needs to get a little bit higher before they really take notice of it. And then there also has to be a lot more companies that are involved in it in terms of taking it as payment and or massive use on the blockchain. And that's the only time that politicians are going to get all that interested in it, in my opinion. It's lower on the totem pole. I think that they're missing an opportunity, but there's a lot more than I don't know how many millions of people in America own crypto, but I know it's more than 8 figures. So they should pay more attention to it. But in my opinion, it's going to be a while before it's really a mainstream discussion.
Yeah, good point. I think at this case, the only thing I would encourage them to do is not to clamp down on these things, especially when they don't understand them, and just, you know, to try to, because in my mind that quells the innovation in it. And then if somebody in, you know, Malaysia is out there innovating because they can and we can't, then that puts them ahead. And, you know, we're literally living in a global economy. And so I don't want to, you know, stifle America any more than we already are or already have done that.
One additional thing is, I believe that I read somewhere, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I read somewhere that Trump had stated that he wasn't going to sell. You know, the U.S. government has quite a bit of Bitcoin and other currencies that they've got from people who were doing illegal activities and so forth. And he was saying that he wanted the U.S. government to hold on to this instead of to sell it. And I heard no other politician say such a thing. So I think that would be an interesting piece of information. I mean, one, it wouldn't put things on the market because they've got hundreds of thousands of Bitcoins. So, or they had, I don't know what they have exactly now, but it is something that is an interesting point, has to do with the subject at hand today. And if it's true, that would be beneficial, because I can't see them not clamping down on more people who are using crypto illegally. And then if they continue to hold it, like a lot of us do, then, you know, that's beneficial for the long-term trajectory of Bitcoin and crypto in general.
Yeah. And along with that, I heard somebody mention that they should keep it and kind of hold it as a reserve currency, where, you know, most other countries or all other countries hold the dollar as a reserve currency. But, you know, obviously here we don't need to hold the dollar because we can just print it whenever we want. But if we actually held the Bitcoin as a reserve currency, now we may hold some yuan or yen, or I don't know exactly, that may not be 100% accurate statement, but to hold Bitcoin in the same category as a reserve currency, I think is huge. So I would encourage them to do that as well, just like you said, Michael. So good. Okay. Well, great to have Alan and Lorenzo join us. Hopefully you guys can join us in the future. We do an in-person meeting once a month as well, usually about 2 weeks after or 2 weeks before this meeting. I think the next one is the 25th or so. 2 weeks from tomorrow, it sounds right. And so hope, you know, if you guys are ever in town or on your way to Yosemite on that Sunday, feel free to stop by. There is just a kind of just open discussion, just, you know, people chatting. And usually when people show up for the first time, they're like, oh, this is so great. You know, I can't talk to crypto about anybody because none of my friends or family knows anything about it. So it's kind of just cool to be around like-minded folks for an hour or two, and, you know, see where the discussion or knowledge expands to and from. So with that, we will call it a day, and I will post the recording a little bit later on. Thanks for jumped in there and posting some links, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks,
Thank
Brad.
you.
All right, we'll see you at me and Ed's in a few weeks.
All right.